I've been down to Nashville where I've had to pay to go down to Nashville and pay to have everybody there, and it's, flights and everything like that. Now you can do it right from Prince George here and still have those same players. And like you say, you just kind of build up your, like with my brother, he's building up his people that he can connect with and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember half these people's names or nothing. I'm just like, I'm the singer. That's that. No bass player, no nothing else. It's just get in there and do your part singing, sort of thing.
Right.
And it's nice because you don't have the stress of anything else besides just doing my vocals.
Hello, I'm John Brink, and we are podcasting on the Brink from downtown Prince George, British Columbia, Canada. And today, a special guest, and his name is Rick Stavely, and he is a country music artist, composer, singer, an amazing artist, was a truck driver, is currently not truck driving, but all part of his history, and he's going to tell us all about his past and how he got into country music, composing, singing. A bit of a late bloomer, I believe, in a way. He has been around for a long time, but is now extremely popular all over North America and beyond. So help me in welcoming Rick. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So tell us a bit about you and your background. Are you from Northern British Columbia, or?
Yeah, I was born in Quesnel, stayed there, until grade 1 or something. Then I moved to town here. My dad got a job with the school district here in town and stuff, and so we made our way to Prince George.
Quesnel is about an hour south of Prince George.
Yeah.
And then Prince George is about, for all those people from around the world saying, oh, okay, we know where Canada is, British Columbia, where is Prince George? Well, Prince George is about 500 miles north of Vancouver. Absolute beautiful area. And then Quesnel, where you were born, is about an hour south from us, about 75 kilometers, or about something around that.
Yeah.
So Rick, so you grew up in Quesnel and then moved fairly quickly to Prince George, and then had your education here in Prince George, went to school here.
Yeah.
So, and what did you do then for a career? Did you start, truck driving was a big part of your life, right?
No, it's just been the last actually half a decade, sort of something like that. And before that, I was on the road for quite a while. Back when there was a lot of six-nighters, like we played in town here as I was growing up at the Iron Horse pub, the PG Vivas, and then into the Cadillac Ranch when we got a little bigger. And but it's been in Prince George for the whole time basically, but always went out on the road, did different things. But I always came back because I had a job at the school district. Like I was in grounds, maintenance, central stores. I was in there for quite a while and stuff like that when we were shutting down schools back years ago with, through the 90s and different things like that. Like, so I was about 13 years at the school district, right from out of high school sort of thing. Like I was back and forth. I was get laid off after working about 7-8 months, and I'd say I'll take a layoff, and then I'd take off to Alberta because I had uncles and everybody playing music and all that. I played bass and stuff like that.
So music has always been a big part of your life.
Yeah. I grew up in Aboriginal and Métis family sort of thing.
Okay.
And we've always had my grandpas and uncles, my dad playing fiddles and banjos. And as kids, we were growing up and we were trying to learn songs so we can play the next year at a family reunion or something like that.
Yeah.
Me and my cousins would try to learn all these Tanya Tucker songs. When I die, I may not go to Texas and stuff like that. So we worked on, we worked as young kids before we were even teenagers, so we can get on stage with all of our relatives and stuff like that.
Yeah, so very much part of the First Nations communities, right? Music, and in particular in your case, you focused on country in particular, right?
Yeah,
is that right? Or?
I started off. There was the Canada Hotel back years ago when I was in high school.
Yeah, close by here.
Yeah, and so it was funny because at the age of 16, I got my first set of drums. Before that, I was playing with the band. I had like an administration sign, and I was just giving her. And we started our band before I even had drums.
Right.
And then I had the drums, and I was doing all the lead vocals behind the drums, and we were doing straight rock. And so for the first 2 years, then I moved to Alberta. My uncle, we got to play at a couple bars as a rock band, and an agent came down from Edmonton, and she goes, "Well, you guys are going to make a lot more money if you go country." And so quickly, I grew up with country. My dad playing country. We'd play pool, and he'd be cranking up the country music, and so I knew a lot of country stuff already and stuff like that. But
came kind of natural.
Yeah. So we switched over to country because of the agents talking to us.
Yeah.
And then so we were running out into bands like played Hannah, Alberta, and we'd go downstairs and we listened to Nickelback guys when they were first getting started. And we were playing with Tasquin, a couple of the same places them, but we were playing down at the country bar, and they were playing at the rock bar upstairs and that. And they asked us one time, they said, "Well, how much do you guys make?" And I said, "Well, we make about, after everything, gas and everything, we make about $500 a week each." And they were making like $250 a week each back then, like just getting started out sort of thing. And there's other rock bands that made her pretty big that we ran into back in the early '90s and stuff like that. And yeah, it was pretty interesting. It's, I guess we did make the right move because we're making twice as much as the rockers.
Yeah, you were going in the right direction.
Yeah.
So and then the other thing that I find amazing about you're also a composer, and so not only being a musician, guitar now, but having gone through all the other different things like drumming, composing is not easy. What is the challenge? I like country music because they talk about me in my life, and it's always our story, right?
Yeah.
So what is the key around the ability of becoming a composer? Do you need to know, how does the composer work? Does he start with the music, or does he start with the story?
With the songwriting end of it, because I work with a lot of big songwriters too as well with the Rick Stavely stuff, then just with the Tabor Creek Band.
Right.
And me and the Steel...
Now, Tabor Creek is what? Is a band...
local, everything's done local, in the studio here. And
here in Prince George.
Yeah, the Beaten East Records and stuff. And so what happened was I got together with my guys, and then we wanted to get in there with, because like a lot of my Rick Stavely stuff, even that we do on stage with the Tabor Creek Band, it's all got the real strong female singers in there. So we got in a female singer right away. We're working with this Teresa Jordan, who's for years people have been saying, get Teresa in your band, get Teresa in your band.
Is she also local or from the region?
Yeah, she grew up on the hard highway with my cousins.
We have a lot of interesting talent here, don't we?
And Teresa's just the real deal.
Yeah.
I got guys from Virgin Records and different things. I got a one song release that we're doing with my God Unwind song. We put rap music in there, and we got her in the video and everything already. She just kind of came in, and we said, in a week we're working with Creative BC. And within a week here, I need you to learn these two songs, and to get in the studio.
Within a week?
Within a week, yeah. And she jumped in there and she got the songs in, and she was in the studio. And then we said, okay, well, we got 2 Christmas songs we're going to throw in there at the same time. So we got 2 real good Christmas songs coming out. They're already recorded with me and Teresa doing duets on those. And then we got a song called My Better Half. It's the only one that we haven't. With the Tabor Creek Band that we haven't been part of, Marty Anderson and myself, and that we haven't been part of the songwriting. I've used another songwriter that I used on some of the Rick Stavely stuff in the past, from out in Nanaimo.
Right.
So we're working with him on a song called Better Half. That'll be coming out not till about September. And then we got another one through Creative BC that we're doing called Get It Right that I wrote about 12 years ago. And I've just been waiting for the right female singer to come along, and then she just kind of worked in within a week, and she was just blasting it out in the studio.
Is that to get a better sound or better interaction between the 2 artists? Why is it important to have, like with you, the female sound together with yours? Does that make and very good combination? Or how do you decide that? It's saying, okay, what we need is a female voice in that one in particular. Whatever.
Well, a lot of the stuff we do too is we do a lot of covers as well as our originals, and with her coming in, and you could just see with the crowd as soon as she does a Martina McBride song or Patti Loveless or and we do a lot of the '90s country is what she sings a lot of, and as soon as she goes and sings a song. It's just like Prince George needed more female singers. Like there's a couple of them coming up now that are doing really good and stuff like that. And they just need it because when you're out in the crowd and you see the girls, all ladies, women, all different ages, singing along with the songs, it kind of puts a smile on your face because you know that you're missing half the market if you're not writing as a writer for myself and that if you're not writing for female and male, you're only working with half the industry sort of.
Right.
And then I like writing a little bit of rock and roll. I grew up with stuff like that too and that. So I'm always experimenting and writing and stuff like that. But to be able to have that female there, like I said, I waited 12 years for this song that I wrote. Girl, Heidi Ray, she was in town here and she was taking the nursing course and she got together with myself and Mike Gucci at 2 different times and she wrote a couple songs. And then she finished her nursing course, she graduated, moved to Nashville, married a big songwriter. And so I got back a hold of her and I said, hey, do you still have that song? Because I couldn't find it at the time. And she said, I don't know, it's probably in Dawson Creek right now at my mom's house or something like that. And then so all of a sudden I go to my dad's house. My dad said, here's all these old CDs you have kicking around and all that. And there was the song Get It Right. And that one's going to actually be released here in the end of July with the Tabor Creek Band right across Canada and around the world.
Wow.
It's about 80,000 different stations. So it's just to see all that as a composer come to life. And what I was going to say is I work with my steel guitar player. He was out of Williams Lake, this Randy Pokita. And he's like in his 70s, but he's just an amazing steel guitar player. Like he took our band to that next level. And when I work with like a lot of different steel players out of Nashville. I've been doing it for years, like Martina McBride, steel player, all these people. And so I'm used to having that steel in there. So he called me up and goes, hey, Rick, he goes, you mind if I come play in your band? And I had 2 bands going at the time. I said, Randy, you can come and play in both my bands. So with the composing and everything, how it works is me and Randy get together at my place.
Yeah.
And we rip it apart. We say, how about this chord instead of that chord? And we get it all ready for everybody. And then we send them all copies, like just recording it in my front room, send them all copies. And then everybody learns their parts from there.
So that's the music side, right? So how
Yeah,
about
the composing.
How about the story, or how about
the stories
The
that
words.
I've always have ideas in my head, and I'm always like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I like to work. I like to truck driving. I worked for a school district for years, and just to have that working background in there, instead of being like, because I was a road dog for so long, 6 nights a week, traveling on Sundays, somewhere in Saskatchewan to Alberta, and from down in the Kootenays all the way up to Fort McMurray, like long drives some days, some 17-hour drives to get to the next gig.
all by yourself?
Yeah. Well, usually with the band, a couple of band guys.
Yeah.
And then we'd hire guys out of Edmonton if we were in
Yeah.
Alberta. I always had different guys that I work with, piano players and stuff, and just give them a call up. Hey, you want to come up to Fort McMurray with us and stuff like that? Yeah.
So let us hear something so that we kind of get a feel of it, because your guitar is sitting there. I always wanted to be a guitar player. I have guitars, but I've never acquired the skill sets to become a guitar player. And I like country. So show us, play something for us to start.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And and then we'll talk again about that.
And then play a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then play a little bit more.
Yeah.
I want to get my long haul in there, but I was thinking about doing the Marty Anderson song first here. That was the last we had with our Tabor Creek Band.
Andrew, is it sitting good? Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So yeah, Marty Anderson, you had him on your show a little while back there.
Yeah.
We hooked up with Marty, and we did our first 3 songs at Beaten East Records here, and we did our Last Cold Beer is the one that we actually, we sent out the Country 'Cause of You as well, and then it got a little bit. We're trying to get more and more known. It's a brand new band sort of thing. So
yeah.
But we're the next 2 songs will be like the 4th and 5th song into the Tabor Creek. So we're getting a good little following now. We do really good on the Canadian indie country charts because we're getting bigger and bigger. But yeah, so me and Marty hooked up, and it's so great to work with a writer. Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, you know, like I'm a writer too, but there's always to get the second opinion, the third opinion,
Makes
whatever
you
yeah,
even more powerful.
yeah, and it makes it strong, you know, the
Yeah.
song nice and strong. And so he came up with me with this one, like we wrote most of the other ones together. And this one here, he just kind of he said, hey, check this one out, Rick, that I wrote. And so I didn't really have to do any of the writing on this one. It's all him on this one sort of
Right.
thing. And yeah, it's Last Cold Beer. It just fits in nice in the market and everything. And it goes like this. Better keep your grubby hands on my last cold beer. We've been friends since high school. Yeah, we've been through it all. Through cars and girls, fights and life, never been two better pals. Now it's time to warn you, there's one thing I gotta make clear. You better keep your grubby hands with my last cold beer. You can have my gin or whiskey, take my wine or drink my clear. But unless you wanna fight me, you better keep your hands off my last cold beer. You know, I'll give you my last dollar. You can even take my girl. Have the shirt right off my back. Yeah, I'm that kind of friend. But when that cooler's empty, you don't wanna be near. You better keep your grubby hands with my last cold beer. You can have my gin or whiskey, take my wine and drink my clear. But unless you wanna fight me, you better keep your hands off my last cold beer. You can have my gin or whiskey, take my wine and drink my clear. But unless you wanna fight me, you better keep your hands off my last. You can have my gin or whiskey, take my wine and drink my clear. But unless you wanna fight me, you better keep your hands off my last cold beer.
Wow. Amazing. So that is beat. Is that coming out? You said, or is it?
It's been we released it. I'd say 6 months ago now.
Yeah.
And yeah, we were on the Canadian indie country charts, but it went out all 80,000 stations around the world and stuff like that. And yeah, it was really did really good for us. Like I said, we started building up a following. So once we got that one going, it's like the Canadian indie country charts. People got to email in your song, and just one song they get to vote for. And like myself and Chris Goodwin are on there right now. We're just working our way into the top 100. You got to start at about 200, and you work your way into the top 100, and then you work your way into the top 30. And Last Cold Beer made it right up there and stuff. And
so where are you now?
I'm just getting in there with the new song Long Haul.
Yeah.
So I'm like at number 127. So then next week it'll go up to 110 or something, and then you break into that top 100. And then once you break into the top 30, then there's a lot of stations in Sarnia, Ontario, and different things that are just wait to see how you do before they add your song to their playlist. They see how you do on like the Canadian indie country chart. So it's getting really important for like local and like with Rick Stavely fans to get in there every week. You go Friday at 4 o'clock till midnight on Saturday. You have chance. You go in and vote for this for the Canadian indie country charts. They give you all the information there.
Right.
And then you just put Rick Stavely Long Haul, and that's all you have to do. Send it off, and once a week, and then you watch your song and hope it gets into the top 10.
Yeah.
Because that's when, like I said, a lot of the stations that are just
is that just Canada then, or is that?
Yeah, that one's just Canada. Yeah.
Yeah, but also does it go into the North American market?
Oh yeah, it goes North American. I'm getting picked up in the UK. Like at one time, I had one of my songs there, just on the regular, like released around the world and everything like that. It was "You Got Country." It was called. I really recorded in Nashville and that, and I was right in between Kenny Chesney and then George Strait's Troubadour. And I was like they were number 4, Kenny Chesney, I was number 5, and then George Strait was number 6. over in North Fork in England and stuff like that, like on their chart or their playlist and everything like that. And then all through the Netherlands, I get picked up songs in Italy, and so it's really exciting because you get your tracker report every week saying where your song is getting played and who's picking it up. So it's not just Canada anymore.
No,
it gets, when you release to Canada, it goes out to the radio stations, but then they also release it through the Shangaroo all around the world. And within weeks, you're watching your song get picked up in Georgia and all these different places.
See, one of the things that I find, Rick, is that with media and podcasting is part of that, but it's a different area. But everything has become global more and more. Don't you find that?
Yeah.
Even with you and your songs, that all of a sudden you hear your songs being played in the UK, Italy, and Netherlands, and God knows where else.
Yeah.
It has become global.
Yeah.
How do you, as an artist, interact with that? You have to understand it. You have to understand the market. What are they looking for? Obviously, country is very popular.
Yeah, even that, it's always changing. You got to kind of keep up with what's going on out there.
Right.
You could do the pickup truck songs and all that, but I'm trying a little, like even with long haul, it's just that little bit ahead of the game where they're kind of listening to it. Okay, well, I was working with local rocker Jerry Sintage. We created this groove and that, and now they're kind of, well, it might fit into our sister station and that, and but they're trying to accept it, but I'm already that little bit ahead of the market.
Right.
Where it's getting to a point where they're just coming out with creative grooves and stuff, and you're adding in rock players that are bringing in a whole new element to country and stuff like that.
Right.
And so it's just a matter of it's changing, just from the tear in my beer, all of a sudden, the next 10 years later, Garth Brooks is coming out with stuff. And I was lucky at a young age to start playing it at 16 years old.
Right.
And I was on the road by 18 with my uncle's band and stuff like that before Randy Travis was just coming out and Keith Whitley was just coming out. And here I am singing George Strait songs, 6 of them a night, because there's only so much stuff you can do. And then all of a sudden, all this newer country, Dwight Yoakam's coming out, so I'm learning all the Dwight Yoakam. And so I went through 3 or 4 different decades of changing my writing and changing everything to the next level, sort of thing.
Yeah. So Travis and Yoakam, neither of them are still active.
I think Travis Tritt does the odd thing or something like that.
Yeah, he had something.
Yeah, and some of them, like David Lee Murphy and that, they've gotten into writing big hits for other people and stuff like that. So they're still in there, like a little bit. And of course, Garth Brooks is coming back all the time with new stuff and new ideas. And he's always been
an amazing artist, right?
Yeah,
extremely popular. What makes him so popular?
I think it's just the way that he changes and he brings in that new element of music, and then his live shows are just amazing as well.
Yeah.
Like even with
I like watching him. Yeah, but
with the long haul song, we sat on this for about 2 years now through COVID and everything like that, and we just it was big writers. Drew Gregory is another big country artist, and Doug Folkens out of Campbell River. Guys like that. I got together with these guys, and they were saying, "Rick, you better pay the mechanical royalties because there's a lot of people that want this long haul song."
Yeah,
and it's written with another big writer out of the States. There's 3 of them on it altogether, 2 Canadians and an American. And he said, "Rick, you better pay the mechanical royalties." And so I'm like going, okay, we got to get this done. And then at the last minute, my brother, who's got the Studio 805 music production here in town and stuff like that.
In Prince George,
yeah. We worked with a song Hag on the Jukebox that George Canyon and Gord Bamford wrote and stuff like that. And so, but then we got the first 3 ones done, and then this long haul, it's been taking quite a while. And then at the last minute, we've got the groove from the Jerry Sintage on guitar. Last minute, my brother gets a hold of Garth Brooks' keyboard player, and he put all that stuff in at the beginning of long haul, and it just brought it to a whole new level. So we get to work with these guys from Prince George, but my brother he produces everything. So he lines up the drummers and real famous people down in the States and all that.
But you have to get the connection, right? They have to,
he's been building it up.
If I'm Joe Blow and I'm calling some major guy, he doesn't even answer my phone.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of get to that level of being recognized, and then all of a sudden, and that happens with a lot of other things as well, I find in the media, all of a sudden they start picking it up, and then it goes like there it goes.
Yeah.
And then from there and then you have to keep doing the right things.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
means
we're
you
already-
can't do it alone.
Yeah.
You know, you have to have the team, and you have to be able to do what your brother is doing, pick up the phone and call. Then all of a sudden you got this keyboard guy that has already an amazing reputation.
Yeah, and they're studio players too. They know what's going on with the industry and
Yeah.
what needs to be done next, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, to be able to work with those type of guys, even with me and my brother, it's just like, wow, we got, just amazing people. And like, I've been down to Nashville where I've had to pay to go down to Nashville and pay to have everybody there, and it's flights and everything like that. Now we can do it right from Prince George here and still have those same players. And like you say, you just kind of build up your, like with my brother, he's building up his people that he can connect with and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember half these people's names or nothing. I'm just like, I'm the singer. That's that. No bass player, no nothing else. It's just get in there and do your part singing, sort of thing.
Right.
And it's nice because you don't have the stress of anything else besides just doing my vocals. But yeah, he works hard, and it's like you say, long haul took us a little while to get done, but we had to do it all right. And working with my brother is really good because that's what he likes to do. He likes to get everything perfect. He was my drummer in my band before, and he went to Columbia Recording School. And
Your brother?
yeah, in Edmonton and stuff like that. And so but he drives for XL Trucking here. He's drove like 15 years for them or something like that here in town. So he's a truck driver as well, yeah, it's just like, I mean, to be able to work with him and, like family, he knows my voice more than anybody else. He's been on the road with me. He's done sound for me, all that stuff, So to get in the studio with him, everything's got to be just perfect. Like, I mean, he just gets me in there, and I like that because I've worked with people in bigger studios that they've come in like producers, and they're just like, nope, we want you to change this and change this part of yours. So I'm used to it when my brother says it. I'm like maybe Scorpion, I'm a little stubborn or whatever, but at the same time I have to listen to these guys because working with a team and getting those extra set of ears in there and everything, they can just pick you apart, sort of thing. So I'm used to being picked apart to be pushed that extra.
You cannot be proud and say, no, that's the way I want it.
Yeah.
You need to have that team around you that know the market. So, but I kind of feel like I love listening to music, and I listen, and every so often somebody emerges as, I have not heard that before, but I know this is a good song. I'm not an expert other than
listeners know what's good too, though.
Yeah. So and all of a sudden, so do you have that in your mind and saying, okay, what you were saying is these things run through your mind as a composer all the time, and saying that would make the cold beer. Don't touch my cold beer.
Yeah.
To me, would not have meant that's the song.
Yeah. Until you actually hear the lyrics.
Until you hear it, and then you say that clicks. I like it.
Yeah. At first you're thinking, well, last cold beer, this guy's going to quit drinking. Yeah. But it's not about that at all. Don't touch my last cold beer in that cooler.
So, do another song for us. Your choice.
Okay.
Share with us something that you want us to hear.
You guys want to hear the new one right away here then?
Yeah, I like it. I love it. Yeah.
I better sit up a bit straighter for this one.
It's not officially out yet?
Yeah, it's out. It's on the Canadian indie country charts. You can vote for it every week. Go to my social medias and stuff like that, and it's just.
So your social media is what?
Mostly Facebook. Like, I mean, I do have an Instagram, which I got to get started more. I'm learning this now that a lot of these sites weren't around before, like TikTok and stuff like that. So they're, hey, how many streams do you have on Spotify, on TikTok? I'm like, I don't know. Jeez, I don't even know how to get into that stuff. I know I have it or something. I signed up for it at one time. So now I'm really having to work it. Like, I've watched a couple of my other buddies like Gord Bamford and guys like that. Just all of a sudden, boom, they're on Instagram. Boom, they're on this. And Chris Goodwin, he's really good at that. I think he's got a pretty good team he's working with as well. Yeah. And so I'm doing it as my R. Stavely Country independent label, and learning the hard way. I've always done that my whole life. Yeah. but I mean, so it's really interesting to get into the streaming parts of it on Spotify and of course YouTube and all that. So I'm trying to build all that up, and that's what a lot of the radio stations that are picking up on. Okay, how good is this guy doing on these sites?
But everything is changing, Rick, on social media
Oh, yeah.
and all over, so you're not the only one that is trying to catch up with it, but
And
it's
then with the
extremely powerful.
And then with the independent, it's like if you're a signed artist, then they're going to do everything for you, sort of thing. But I mean, as an independent, you're just going, oh man, I got to get on this computer and.
Well, you're doing well.
Yeah.
So, what is the name of the song?
Long Haul.
Long Haul.
Yeah, and it's out there now. You can go in any site, Spotify's, YouTube's. And I forget how many, there's 100 of them that goes out to or something like that, all the downloading sites and stuff like that.
Okay.
And so this is it. Took a lot of wrong turns living my life. Always in a hurry, I was running late. Took a few shortcuts trying to save time. Getting off track, losing my way. But you light me up like a set of headlights. Pointing me straight into a cold dark night. Baby, you're right where I need to be. Better now you got me rolling down a better road. 'Cause I've got you sitting by my side. Shotgun, bedseat, sundress, blue sky. Fire up a highway song. We'll get a little blacktop gone. We can go wherever you want, baby, it's your call. I'm in it for the long haul. Sure to be a few bumps along the way. Baby, you know I got what it takes. You're my Jesus on the dash, get me through a rough patch, sunset and saving grace. 'Cause I've got you sitting by my side. Shotgun, bedseat, sundress, blue sky. So fire up a highway song. We'll get a little blacktop gone. We can go wherever you want. Baby, it's your call. I'm in it for the long haul. Fire up a highway song. We'll get a little blacktop gone. We can go wherever you want. Baby, it's your call. Yeah! 'Cause I've got you sitting by my side. Shotgun, bedseat, sundress, blue sky. So fire up a highway song. We'll get a little blacktop gone. We can go wherever you want, baby, it's your call. I'm in it for the long haul. That's my first time ever doing that live.
I love it.
I was talking to some of the guys from your team there, and I was like, I don't know, man. I haven't really learned. I haven't played it live or nothing yet. We just got it out to radio here a couple weeks ago, and it was just the bass playing in. I've been working, because I'm a bass player, so I've been working on trying to get some of the bass stuff going. I'm like, oh no, the guitar, like I was trying to figure it out at home. Even like last night there, I'm like, I'll get her once I get in there. But it's first time performing. I don't even know how I did on the first verse with it there. I was trying to stumbling with my words. But anyways, a great song. Like,
I love the song, and then I love your playing. So does it come natural to you? You have a good, very strong voice. Your voice is very important as a singer, but you're also a very, very good musician. So how did you acquire the skills of working, guitar or all the other instruments that you do? Did that come natural to you, or?
Pretty much. I grew up out in the Hart Highway. I was going to Kelly Road School there, and in grade 8 we had a guitar class. So and my dad was always a guitar player, and like I said, as a teenager, early before my teens, I was so interested in it, but I never really got into the guitar. And then my dad got me like the same thing, a guitar for my birthday there, because I started taking at Kelly Road in grade 8. I started taking guitar lessons, so November is when my birthday is there. And so by the time November came, my dad got me old Hagstrom semi-acoustic guitar and a Vox amp, and got me music lessons at B&B Music. So I started taking guitar lessons I started at Kelly Road, and then I started getting better as I took guitar lessons for about a year there, and then we moved into town, and within no time at all, I met a guitar player friend of mine and stuff like that, and then another bass player buddy of mine, and we got together in the basement there, and we started giving her. We really wanted to go play, and so my birthday come around, I got a set of drums, and I was doing all the vocals behind the drums, so I got really loud and powerful with that.
Right.
Playing behind the drums all the time is so loud and everything. So
Yeah,
I was doing all lead vocals, all rock and roll too. So I was
Right.
screaming my head off behind the drums and everything like that. But yeah, and then later on, our bass player went out and he was doing some brush fire burning or something like that. So we got a drummer, and I got on the bass guitar because I was already playing guitar since a teenager, in my early teens. And so by 17, I was already up front. And I was like, this is much better. Behind the drums, I was always just sweating away and just giving her, and then trying to do all lead vocals. And then, so once I got up there, and then once I got to PGSS, say 16 years old, grade 12, 17.
Yeah.
I was working at the Canada Hotel till 1 a.m, and I had a block X, they called it. And so you show up at 8 o'clock, and I was taking choir 12. And I had about 30 girls in the class, and there was just me. I was the only guy in this class at PGSS, and it was for choir and that. So I'd be up there singing "Oh Canada" at Vanier Hall with 30 girls. It sounds like they were just doing my harmonies because my voice was already so loud and so it was starting to chisel, and as I got into country, it just takes a while for it to mature and chisel and get to where it needs to be,
Yeah.
And right now I'm at a really good point with my vocals, like in the studio and everything. I can get in there and hit the lows that I want to hit and everything like that. And some songs I like singing up high and challenging my voice and everything, but at the same time I'm a low baritone type singer, like Toby Keith and Trace Atkins and those guys. So we kind of pick my songs around that a little bit too, just to get that low end in there really nice.
And that again is very, very important, right? So that as part of the market, the sound of the voice, and then to combine it with being a composer and a guitar player, but really you've been around it your whole life. It's all part of your life. Now you're also part of First Nations background or status. So tell us a bit about that. As you, here in northern BC and in other parts of the country, we have a lot of First Nations here. We are in the Clayton Chennaise territory, but I always find in the time that I've been here, I came from Holland 60 years ago. There are a lot of talent in First Nations, in particular as it relates to music. They are very vocal. And very naturally come to become musicians. Is that because it's part of their background, or
it's
the same as the drums? I have drums, and I played drums with them, but they are so naturally musical.
It's just like I say with myself, my family's always been fiddle players, and we grew up more of a Métis background once we got to BC, like everybody moved from Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, and that to come work at the mills here, out of Penny and different places like that. My grandpa's even retired in Quesnel at the mill there and stuff like that. But they all got together on the weekends, and they called it kitchen
say
parties.
Métis background, just for a guest watching us from around the world. What does that really mean?
It's kind of a Cree and French. Before the English came in and kind of they lost the first war kind of to come in from the States into Canada. The French and the Aboriginals kind of blocked them out, but then they made their way in there. But before that, it was like the French and the natives and everything. They hunted together and all that. They end up marrying some of the native women, married the French guys and stuff like that. So there became that culture of the Métis, and they were really well known for being translators and like for different nations, because they hunted with them, buffalo hunted and all that stuff like that. So yeah, it goes back to there with the Métis and everything like that, and that's kind of where that comes from. But then in the recent past year, they've went down an extra generation. So my grandpa was from a one reserve, and then my grandma was from another one in Saskatchewan. But their mothers and fathers, came from there, and then they kind of moved into Prince Albert, into the city, and moved on to some Métis settlements. But with the Métis in that they. I played a lot of festivals where right from little kids, they'll go up there and they'll jig. They'll go up there and they'll play the fiddle. They have actually contests where these kids all win money. And so they practice, like I said, when I was a kid, just to go up and jam with my family.
Yeah.
The same thing happened at a lot of settlements in Alberta and Saskatchewan and in BC, where these kids, they're so talented. They'll go up and do Johnny Cash and they'll sit there and play guitar like me and stuff like that, and they're not even teenagers yet, but they're so competitive that they want to go there and impress everybody, sort of thing.
Exactly.
And so you get all the different Métis, and same with Aboriginal. You get them sort of competing against each other, and they win money for it every year, and you go to these big festivals, powwows and stuff like that, and there's just so much to it. So we kind of grew up the same way, more civil, or not civilized, but more like in the city than on the settlements, like the Métis settlements. And
right.
I never really grew up on those things, but I grew up with that same mentality, I guess, in B.
Yeah.
Where you're always know that you want to do better and you want to keep going.
Yeah.
And with myself, my dad, my grandpa, everybody had to go to work. It wasn't a thing playing 6 nights a week. When I got into there in the mid '80s. And into the early 90s when I started traveling all across Western Canada and stuff like that. Yeah. I just wanted to take it to a bigger element than the other generations and that.
Right.
And just make it bigger, get known basically globally and stuff like that.
Right.
And so I always have that in the back of my head, I always want to do that much better, and that's the way so many Aboriginal and Métis are trained right from a young age. Because they don't have a lot of TV, everybody has TVs and video all that stuff now, but to get back to that where you're concentrating on real life sort of thing.
Exactly.
And that's what they're that's how I grew up, and that's how my grandpas grew up and everybody like that.
Yeah.
And I just kind of took it on myself, and same with the rest of my family. My sister sings, my brother sings, my other brother plays drums.
It's all in the family.
Yeah.
Right? So now in your case, and if you don't mind, I ask you, I'm going to be 84 this year. So, and I'm very involved on social media, obviously with podcasting and those kind of things, writing books and being speaking. I'm a bit of a late bloomer. But still very, very active. And obviously, what has happened in the last 5 to 10 years in particular, and more so in the last 5 years, 3 years, 2 years, is the social media is exploding around the world. And so are you and we and our podcasting. All of a sudden, we started podcasting on the local level. And we have lots of talents in northern British Columbia, but we had to go beyond that because we were so active in it. And then COVID came, and then we said, well, let's set a studio. I had this apartment, set a studio here. That's what we did. Yeah. And then started podcasting like you and me are. And then the next thing we said, we're going to have to go beyond this market. Maybe we should set up a studio in Vancouver. I had an apartment there. And the more we thought about it, and the more we looked at the television and seeing that CNN, ABC, and all the other ones have 1, 2, 3, 4 different people on the same screen from all over the world interacting like they're sitting in the same room. We said, well, let's go virtual. And now we do probably, I would say, more than 95% of our podcasting is virtual from all around the world. So in one day we can have somebody from South Africa, or in 1 week we have somebody from Greece, one from Sweden, from God knows where, all in 1 week. And it's virtually looks to the consumer, and you've watched a lot of my podcasts, as you said, it looks like they're sitting in the same room together, and that is the amazing part about it. And then the same with books. I've been quite active. I'm going to give you a copy of this one.
Oh, thank you.
This one is the
I haven't seen that one yet, actually.
No, that just came out,
okay.
and it's Living Young, Dying Old, and I'm going to get you a copy and sign you a copy of that. You have the other ones, right?
Yeah, Against the Odds, yeah.
And, this one officially comes out today, Living Young,
right on.
Dying Old, so I'm going to sign one for you.
Well, thank you.
And then...
I always get impressed when I watch your podcast since the start, like I said, and, I try to share it around on my Facebook and all that. And just the last while, like all of a sudden, oh, you got this guy from the States, and you get really interested, like, holy man, he's getting out there with all the new guests and different things instead of, just being around Prince George guests and stuff and people from all over and all the different topics that you cover and everything like that. It's so interesting, and that's why I can see you have so many followers. Every time I'm looking, you're getting more and more and bigger and followers and stuff like that.
And really cool. All kinds of topics.
Yeah,
right?
all kinds of topics.
And
it's
so
awesome.
that makes my interaction with the world and social media, through changes that are taking place, the same as you are. How can I ask you how old you are?
54.
54.
Yeah.
And you were. I was born November the 1st, 1940.
November the 3rd, 1969.
Can you believe that? So November the 3rd. And
Scorpios.
Scorpios, yeah. So and I was born in northeastern Holland during the Second World War, and we were liberated by the Canadian Army April the 12th, 1945, and it made such an impression on me as a little 5-year-old that I always knew I would go to the land of my heroes, and I did. And then I wanted to start with nothing. When I came here, I had $25.47, but I love Canada, and then in particular British Columbia, and in particular the North. It's it's paradise, really.
Yeah. Oh yeah, even like a lot of people in Alberta and that, they come here just to look at the gemstones. Like, the stuff that we got in the creek, the jade and all the different gemstones and tiger eyes. You can go down to any beach and bam, you'll run into the tiger eyes. And like I like collecting a lot of rocks, so
yeah,
rockaholic when it comes to that. And it's just like, people are just amazed by the mountains, the bears, people that don't see it over, certain parts of southern Alberta and Saskatchewan. You see the odd bear, you hear about it or something. But they're like, you should take pictures of some of those bears next time you come to Alberta so we can show us pictures. Yeah. Like, well, you don't want to get too close to them. I've been pretty little close to grizzly bears and that have started kind of coming after me because I'm up and around Upper Fraser area here in outside of Prince George and that. And I'm pulling over with my school district video, and I was back in kickboxing, did a lot of kickboxing and boxing. So I'm out there by myself just throwing kicks and all this stuff, and I'm trying to get this bear to stand up, and he stood up, and this big grizzly, and he starts like he's going to come towards me. So I started running back to my vehicle, and I was like, okay, I know how fast these things can come.
And that is deceiving because they are fast.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to play with them because they are unforgiving, more, especially grizzlies more so than black bears. But black bears with cubs are delicate. So
yeah, when they have the cubs there, that's the worst part.
That's the worst. Yeah. But then at the same time, Rick, as you know and I know, is that Debbie is sitting downtown Prince George, British Columbia, and right in the center of British Columbia. We can drive around here.
10 minutes away.
50 miles, we got 100 lakes.
And
then we will see all of that even within very close distance in town a lot of times. We see, last week I saw 2 black bears.
Yeah, they're starting to come around and going after garbage cans and stuff.
And getting themselves fat for the period. But then the same with moose, foxes, you name it. We have it all here. It makes it so unique.
You can go like 10 minutes away, say, when they were just building the sports center up at the university. I was up there with the dog there, and because I did a lot of training and that with the boxing and all that. So we're up there. And here's a moose calf. I'm about 5 kilometers. I'm just about at the university from Ospika, like down around Andres Range Road area. And I'm just cruising away, jogging away, and all of a sudden I look and there's a moose. It's only like about 30 feet away and had 2 calves with it. So it started charging at me and my Rottweiler there, and it just boom, 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 coming at us. And I had a big hiking stick, and I just held up the hiking stick like this, and it stopped the moose in his track, and it went back to the calves. And then just over on the other side of Prince George, George, the cut banks here.
Yeah,
I'm going up the cut banks and I'm just going past the bear caves. I hear this, wow, like that. I'm like, oh man, it's a cougar. and I wanted to get these Saskatoon berries, so I had to scale, go up the side, over the bear caves, over the where everybody climbs up for the sandblast and all that.
Yeah, right.
And,
we can see it from here.
just right there, and then
right across from my mill.
And then we made it to the park. And that's where the big Saskatoon berry, on the other side of the park, there's big Saskatoon berries, and I want to pick berries. I even wrote a song called Picking Berries for My Baby. And I did it actually that thing downtown back years ago and stuff. Picking berries for my baby. But the whole story behind it, I got such a big story because there's the cougar. And he tracked me about 30, 40 feet away, maybe 50, like in the bush, tracked me the whole way, which is, you're scaling a lot of the cut banks. And here's this cougar following me all the way there to that Saskatoon berry bush, and lots of times I'll go in the back way and I'll jog down from the Hart Highway, and then get back to my vehicle. This time I just went straight down those cut banks, and I said I got to get away from this cougar.
Yeah.
And then from the other side, the Fraser Canyon trails. Me and my wife just got together there, and we went out hiking down the Fraser Canyon trails. We got down just about to the river, and here's a black bear. It must have just been fishing or something. It was like, I was laying in the bush, and my wife said, "What are you gonna do?" And it didn't have no calves or cubs with it or anything. And so I just said, "What?" And I started running into the bush, and the bear took off the other way. That's what you do with the bear. But I was just gutsy. And there's no way I'd be able to wrestle one of those suckers, even being a boxer and kickboxer. I might get in the odd little shot or something.
No. You wouldn't be there to sell the story.
Probably not. But yeah, that's how close we are to nature. It's so close. 10 minutes any way you go, and you got to have bear whistles and
like you have, likely, and I have, is been all around the world, and I've seen many places. That every time I fly back in here on commercial flights, and then I sit by the window and I look outside. It's paradise. It is paradise. And if you see with all the problems that are going on in the world, Ukraine, Middle East, and all the other places, Iran, North Korea, Russia, blah, blah, blah. We are so lucky, so fortunate, and we have challenges, but nothing compared to what they have.
Yeah, and that's, when you get down on life and that, you got to start thinking about other people. Like, you're sure you get a shoulder injury, you get different injuries and stuff going on, but there is people that are in worse conditions than you are, and that's you always got to keep that in the back of your mind. We live in a beautiful area, and everything like that. We're blessed to be here, sort of thing.
Yeah, no question about that. So, Rick, we're just about at the end of our show here. Play us one more tune that's your choice.
Okay.
Before we close our podcast, and for all those people watching us, from around the world, podcasting here with some of the amazing local talent that we have, like Rick and others that we have seen, that also are on social media, and obviously our podcast is seen all around the world. You will hear more from Rick as a composer, being still very much in the prime of his life, and amazing songs. Play us another song, Rick.
Oh yeah. I grew up doing a lot of Merle Haggard and that when I was played bass in a lot of different bands too, and I would sing, a lot of the rocker songs after the bigger acts or whatever would go and do their. They basically give me the stage to rock out at the end of the night, like in Grand Prairie and different places like that. So I was on the road with a good friend of mine, Gord Bamford, and I recorded one of his songs called "Every Day That You're Not Here." It's back in 2007. I recorded a couple songs, and he basically lined me up with some really killer songs. "Dying to Live Like That" is the one that I first brought out. "It's All Yours," and then "Every Day That You're Not Here" that Gord Bamford wrote with another buddy of mine there. And so him and George Canyon and them got together. And another writer, and they wrote a song called "Hag on the Jukebox." And it's Gord knew that Merle Haggard is one of my guys. I sang a lot of his stuff growing up and stuff like that, and real country stuff.
Right.
And so we got a song called "Hag on the Jukebox." I was lucky enough to get it off of him and George Canyon,
right?
Before they made a hit out of it or something like that. He said, "Yeah, sure, Rick, we'll give this one to you."
Yeah.
And so it's real cool. It's called "Hag on the Jukebox." I'm a throwback, I go way, way back. This old cowboy hat, yeah, it's where it's at. I don't roll with the flow, I swim upstream. If you know what I mean, they call me old school, way behind the times. I don't toe no good woman's line. I got a wild-haired side and a pocket full of greenbacks. I take my joint straight down the middle with some hardcore steel and a honky-tonk fiddle, cold beer, cold, and cowgirls smoking hard. And I'm a redneck George Jones junkie, like my Waylon Willie, right on the money. My whiskey on the rocks and hang on the jukebox. I'm a stubborn old son of a gun. You won't catch me sipping coke and rum. I like the hard stuff and I don't like it watered down. I take my joint straight down the middle with some hardcore steel and a honky-tonk fiddle, cold beer, cold, and cowgirls smoking hard. And I'm a redneck George Jones junkie, like my Waylon and Willie, right on the money. My whiskey on the rocks and hang on the jukebox. My whiskey on the rocks and hang on the jukebox.
Rick, it was a pleasure, and for all those people watching us, Rick's name can be found on all the major medias, and he is still, even in nearly his mid-50s, he's still a person that is growing, obviously, in his talents as a composer and a player and a musician and an artist. It was a pleasure, Rick, and I'm proud of Northern British Columbia, having you part of us and all around us in your music. Again, thanks a lot.
Thank you for having me, and thank you so much for your new book.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard so many stories and that of you growing up, coming from Holland to here and stuff, and your success is just amazing.
I appreciate that, Rick. And again, to all those people watching us from around the world, subscribe, share, and comment on our podcast that are involving all kinds of topics from all around the world on virtually every day of the week. Thanks again for being part of our podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.